Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon. It's going to be myself and Ralph Leary as Will Mannis is enjoying the feat of Lionel Messi tonight. We're going to talk college football. It's week 4 preview. We've got his best bet, betonline.ag, bet respectfully, and bet responsibly. Let's rock and roll. It's Crowded Booth here on a Wednesday night.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Welcome in. Welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon alongside Ralph Leary on a Wednesday evening, September 18th, 2024. And the man that is on the screen next to me will be you're muted, Ralph.
Use a good choice of words here.
Yeah.
I will be.
You're gonna be in Baton Rouge this weekend.
I am. Good job.
Ralph's gonna get to take in his first ever LSU football game. It's gonna be a good time.
Should be my second one.
Should be your second one. Yes, you should have been there when Troy beat him. I will say this: I got done doing a podcast today with the Go 24/7 LSU podcast that we do over at 24/7 Sports with the UCLA writer Ralph. Just this guy was in shambles. I mean, this guy was broken mentally and physically, and
it sounded like he was ready to bash a program, and he did that so very well.
You should just tune into the first couple of minutes. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
I have to subscribe. I don't want to do all that
to our podcast.
Yeah, isn't it on Dell's website?
It's just on the YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
It's on the YouTube. On the Google.
The Google Drive.
Will is enjoying the feat of Lionel Messi tonight up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so he's not with us. We
cannot knock him for that.
No. That's was
one in a million kind of thing to do. I'd do it too if I had a chance.
When Will texted that, Ralph, I don't even tell you this. On the way to player interviews last night at LSU, I popped a tire in the middle of the interstate.
Oh,
and had to change it.
Of course, it's you.
Yeah, brutal.
Worst car trouble in the world.
And so I was sitting waiting, getting a new tire today while that was happening. So we got it taken care of. We're all good to go. It's gonna be a good one. And I had a nice dinner. Ralph, what'd you have to eat tonight, or have you eaten yet?
I had some watermelon and cantaloupe and some water.
What?
Yeah.
Watermelon, cantaloupe. Cantaloupe's a slept-on fruit.
Oh, dude, I love some cantaloupe, dude. Cantaloupe, watermelon. I'll tell you this. I got the little mixture one, the little mix, from Publix, and it had honeydew in it. And it's like, that's just a crime. Honeydew might be the worst fruit out there.
I'll say this. I don't hate honeydew. What I do hate is the fact that you put it in with something like cantaloupe that's so good. And it's just disappointing. It needs put it by itself, and the people who want to eat it can go buy it.
If you like kiwi, you like, and never mind, I'm not gonna say that. It's just that's disgusting.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. We got a lot to talk about tonight. For dinner, by the way, I had a foil packet dinner. Very tasty. Very tasty. With a little bit of Hunter's Pub steak sauce. Not an ad. But wouldn't mind it.
Would love that.
Would love that advertisement.
Well, for you, maybe not so much. For Will and I, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. We're talking college football. Week 4, Ralph, it's upon us. We've got 3 games we're looking at, and we're going to kind of do. Will gives up on the picks. Will's giving up on the show, Jonesy. I think he's given up completely. Once again, he's got that. He's watching the footy up in Atlanta tonight. Week 4's here.
Is it okay to call him the greatest soccer player of all time now?
I have no clue because I couldn't tell you anything about anyone else. So sure.
He's like the only one who has. I'm not say that. I thought he's finally got all the trophies you can win. I think.
True.
He has a World Cup.
I think
he's got a English Premier League championship. I'm pretty sure he's won every other league he's won. He'll probably win the MLS this year. So.
I was going to say he doesn't have an MLS title. But what does that even matter? All right, I'm going to throw up if I talk any more about soccer. And, love this. Yeah.
What a dork.
What a dork, Jonesy says. Okay, week 4 of college football is here. If you're watching, just skip to the 5-minute mark is when we actually start talking about things. That's typically how this show goes. BetOnline.ag, presenting sponsor of our college football shows. Make sure you check them out. Use code BELIEVE50 for a match on your first deposit. Make sure you check that out. And that's where all of our best bets are there. Ralph, you're 3-1. I'm 2-2. Will is 0-4. So, Ralph, this is a chance for you and I. I mean, look, hey, I can stay within a game here. I could gain a game. We could be tied again, or you could take a nice 2-game lead, which would be pretty big. Pretty big.
And,
Pretty big for the
my best bet, not to spoil anything. I'm going against Coach. I don't want to go against.
Yeah, I don't feel like either of our best bets are bad.
Will's is
going to be
very.
interesting.
If Will watches this, I don't know.
Okay, let's get this out of. Well, let's talk about the games, and then I want you to tell me about Will's betting habits here in a little bit.
That's just okay.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good. Okay, let's talk. Let's do the first one on the table. I mean, the one that we talk about that Will's not here for. This is an SEC matchup, and this is one between two teams, Arkansas and Auburn. That's where we're going with.
Sorry, my camera was.
You're good. Between Arkansas and Auburn. The reason I picked this game, Ralph, was because I think there's some intriguing storylines merging from two vantage points. Okay, I think these teams are coming in on two different ways. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Arkansas struggled to win against UAB. I like UAB. Jared Zeno is a very veteran quarterback. I mean, they've got some veteran players on that team.
Dilfer's going to do good there.
Yeah, Dilfer's a good coach, and that kind of stuff. So, but Arkansas survived. Auburn, on the other hand, has just beat up on teams that everyone should beat up on, but they kind of come in still with this lingering question about obviously Hank Brown, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. But the question has to be: can Hank Brown do this against better competition? Friend of the show, Gavin, put out, on, I think he sent it in a Twitter DM, kind of that it's like first off, you should have known when the Twitter thing, the Twitter account was like Cam Newton fan too.
Cam Newton fan. That's exactly what I was going to say to that.
But it was like Hank Brown Heisman, campaign or whatever. And I'm sitting there like, can he do it against better competition?
It says, don't look now, but Hank Brown currently ranks 5th in completion percentage, 4th in average yards per attempt, top 10 in passing touchdowns, 1st in passer rating, 1st in INTs 0 among all SEC quarterbacks, and he only needed 6 quarters to get here. Is he the real dark horse for the Heisman? That might be the biggest load of bull crap I've ever read.
It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. So, look, we sit here, and this game I just think it has two teams that are coming in from different angles. I think Arkansas is a physical team. 2 weeks ago, Ralph, Arkansas went on the road to Stillwater and nearly upset an Oklahoma State team that is better than them on paper.
Should have won.
Taylon Green is a playmaker at quarterback. I'll hand this off to you. I just really think, because I don't know how good Hank Brown is against real competition. So I think Auburn's defense is going to have to really step up and try to contain Taylon Green in this Bobby Petrino offense.
Yeah, and my thing is, if you want any kind of performance that's like Hank Brown's done against real competition, you have to go back to last year when he played Maryland. To me, that's the only time he really faced real competition in his career. And if I go, here he is. He was 7 of 9 for 132, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Not telling you much, but he was out there confidently just slinging it downfield. I saw the same thing on Saturday against New Mexico. I thought he was confident in the backfield. He made all the right reads. I don't care who you play. If you're making the correct reads, you're doing something right. Arkansas is always going to show a different defensive front, a lot more aggressive blitzes, a lot better players and stuff. But if he makes the right reads, he's going to make the right decisions, make the right throws. I thought he handed the ball off more than Peyton Thorne has been. You saw Jarquez Hunter was running all over them on Saturday. And, it's funny because when Will and I were watching the Cal game together, we were talking about Jarquez Hunter and like, oh, man, his first, 5, he had like 30 yards in the first half on 5 carries. And the first 4 carries he had in the second half was for 30 yards. Like, oh, no. Someone said, oh, he can run the ball? Yes. Jarquez Hunter is one of the best running backs in the SEC. It's just that they don't ever use him. If Hank Brown wants to be confident, he has to rely on Jarquez Brown. And that's the truth. Hopefully, I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you know. Is Cam Coleman going to play?
I haven't seen anything. I'd have to go back and look at the press conferences this week. I mean, that's obviously a big piece of the puzzle for that offense, too.
If you have a fully healthy Cam Coleman, a full healthy backfield, I don't see where Auburn couldn't win this game with Hank Brown at quarterback.
You mean You don't see where they couldn't win.
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. And here's another stat that kind of
You're
goes
at
to what
home,
you're saying.
dude. I mean, no matter what, Auburn's a hard place to play.
Oh, it is, regardless of how they're doing. I mean, we've seen that. This isn't a great Arkansas defense. They're ranked 63rd in net EPA play, which is kind of just this whole statistic. And Ralph, you can Google net EPA/play so we can get a definition, but it's really kind of this all-encompassing defensive stat, that this new measurement that people are using. So they're 63rd in the country. They're smack dab average, and they've played.
Expected points added.
There we go. So Ralph, they've done that against, okay, a solid Oklahoma State team, but two really poor teams in terms of statistical categories. So it's a middle of the road defense so far through against offenses that are not that great. If there's a game where Hank Brown could jumpstart his Auburn career in terms of his team, and then like you mentioned, they get healthy, they utilize Jarquez Hunter out of the backfield. Rivaldo Fairweather, really becomes an emerging target that we think Auburn fans have been waiting on. If that happens, this feels like the game where it could happen. Like you mentioned, you're at home, you're young quarterback. It shouldn't be rattled by the moment in terms of having to play on the road. I think there's a recipe for success for Auburn here. I will also tell you this too. They should be 3-0. They just should be. I understand we can play the if, could, should, would game all day long. They should be 3-0. But this defense, when you take a look at the different sides of the football on both sides, I feel like Auburn's defense is probably the most sure thing. Now, Auburn's defense has their deficiencies, but Ralph, they already have 20 tackles for loss on this season through 3 games, and that same statistical category, the EPA per rush, so expected points added per the rush against the running attack, they're a top 20 essentially rushing defense in the country.
Right.
Taylor Green's going to want to run the football. Arkansas is going to want to be physical. If they can contain them, I'll say my point here. I like Auburn and the 3.5 points here.
Yeah,
I do.
Defensively, it starts with Keldrick Falk. It always, you always say it starts up front, and we always talk about Arkansas in the past. You go back to when Ryan Mallett was quarterback there, and they had the offensive line that was like average like 6'6", 330. They were just horses, and you couldn't move them around. They were always statistically the best offensive line in the country. This and it's year after year, and you had Sam Pittman there for a while, and Pittman brought in some great offensive linemen there, obviously, but they've kind of fallen off. So the offensive line is not as good as it used to be. But when it starts up front, it starts with Keldrick Falk. He's got to make some plays in the backfield. He's playing so good this year. You got to get. Your leading tackle on the team right now is Jerry Thompson, your safety. Yeah. That shows you're letting a lot of big plays. You're letting out. You play EA college football. You always look who you're playing against. If their leading tackler is a safety, you're like they're getting up big plays. So and I think Dorian Mousey's played all right this year. I hadn't really seen a lot of him. I like Eugene Asante. I feel like he gets kind of caught up in the play too much. And these secondary guys, they're just not tackling well. I think. They're missing too many tackles. They're missing too many cues. They're misreading their receivers on coverages. It's been sloppy for this team to be 2-1. It's been a sloppy performance on defense. And against Cal, the Cal game was the best when they played, and it looked terrible against New Mexico. They came up with some big plays against New Mexico that should not get given up.
You mentioned sloppy. They're probably fortunate they've played New Mexico and Alabama A&M. If they played even group of 5 teams, and I know New Mexico's in a group of 5 team, but if they played like a solid to middle of the road group of 5 team, they may not get away with that.
They lost to Montana State week 1 or week 0. I think it was week 1.
New Mexico,
New Mexico did, and I didn't. People don't realize that Montana State's like one of the best FCS schools in the country.
Yeah, they're very, very good,
and they're competing on a FBS level normally year in year out on like the lower end. So,
Taylor Green was really good against Oklahoma State. Yeah, he threw for 400. He had 416 yards against Oklahoma State. Struggled. He only threw for 161, but he's already run for 245 yards this year. Mm-hmm. True dual threat. They're going to want to space Auburn out. They're going to want to do some different things. But I'll kind of end my pick here. Like, I think home field advantage. I think utilize Jarquez Hunter and limit Taylor Green's explosiveness. I think that's the recipe for success. I think Auburn does that, and they get a big momentum win before obviously hosting Oklahoma the following week. I like Auburn in the 3.5 points here. What's your pick?
Yeah, I like Auburn at 3.5. You need this win to create some momentum, bringing Oklahoma in next weekend. I mean, this is, and you said that both these teams are coming in at different angles. Arkansas is just trying to get back into who they were. Auburn's just trying to find where they are, and who they're going to be this year.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to win this game for either team. It's going to be a bloodbath, I feel like. But Auburn should come out, and I think Auburn will come out, and they will win this game.
Big win, obviously, at home for the Tigers. All right, that's Arkansas, Auburn, an intriguing SEC matchup. Two middle to back end of the SEC teams currently trying to jockey for early position. And look, you talk about an SEC race. Look, there's no divisions for the first time ever. This is a game that both teams, if they have aspirations to make legitimate postseason moves, and I know that might sound crazy, people, you got to win this game. This is the first step. So Arkansas, Auburn, Ralph and I are both taking 3.5 and the Tigers to win this one. All right, next game, Ralph. Let's go. Let's go Big Ten matchup, and then we'll come back to the SEC.
Yeah,
Ralph, this is an interesting one. I'll start off by saying this: USC 5.5 against Michigan. I know, Ralph, this was trending to be your best bet of the week in the Trojans, but
I'm just not really.
Here's my thing. Obviously, the big news is Michigan has moved to Alex Orji at quarterback. The kid that they had in, I mean, this is no disrespect. That was brutal. That was terrible. I mean, they could not move the ball.
48-72, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
It's not been good. They've lost a lot of playmakers. And I know still they've got some guys, but this is just not the same Michigan team. On the flip side, Miller Moss is a good quarterback. And I got to watch it, obviously, week 1 when LSU played USC. Pleasantly surprised, Ralph, with USC's development on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah.
Like, pleasantly surprised. They've done a good job, but here's another opportunity. This is going to be a physical game. You're playing in the big house. I believe this is a 3:30 kickoff.
It is.
So, I mean, without getting too much farther into this, I'll talk about it and throw it to you, and we'll come back and do the picks. Miller Moss and USC, can Michigan slow that down enough to where their offense can get going? Because we saw against Texas, once Michigan got behind, they could never really get anything going. That's my biggest concern. Does Alex Orji, is that enough for this offense to really kind of kickstart things? If not, it feels like this defense for the Wolverines is going to be holding on for dear life, hoping their offense can do something.
I think the 5.5 spread's very generous for Michigan. I think after the performance last week against Arkansas State, a horrible performance by them.
Wasn't all that impressive.
No, they won 28-18 at home. You should have beaten them by 40. They are terrible. And you got a high-powered offense coming in with Miller Moss, who I think is a dark horse, underrated, quarterback in the country. Whenever he is in the draft, if I had the first pick, I'd take him. I mean, the kid's got a cannon. He reads it really well. I think he's confident with his ball placement. I just think overall he's a good quarterback. He's a good player, and he's going to be a great player on Sundays. And this offense is electric, dude. They really are. I mean, you saw how it was. I mean, Zakira Branch is an absolute, freak.
Dude.
Yeah, and then their defense got better, and that's something we hadn't talked about for USC in years. And is that they finally got better. They got some guys on there. They're coached really well. I can't remember the guy's name because it was taught all throughout the LSU USC game. I can't remember who was
the new DC. He came from UCLA. If someone in the comments can get that name, but yeah, you're right.
But he coached a terrific game against a very high-powered LSU offense, and a really good LSU offense, in my opinion. I think Garrett Nussmeier is still very good. Michigan, though, Donovan Edwards, where has he been? This offense was supposed to be surrounded by him. That's who we were talking about. Donovan Edwards is going to be the guy. They're going to focus their offense around him. He has been basically irrelevant this year.
Let me throw the stat at you real quick because I've got a stat on Donovan Edwards. This is a guy who, like you mentioned, I mean, he's on D'Anton Lynn. There you go, D'Anton Lynn.
Dev.
That's big. That's good. Good stuff, Dev. Dev making a case. Intern of the year. We're still hot. We're still looking. Dr. Bob's carrying the mantra from last year. Ralph, Donovan Edwards has just one explosive run on the season. That's categorized as 10 yards or more. He's had 36 carries. Now, we think about this. Edwards had 9 of those runs on 119 carries. We know that he obviously shared the backfield with Blake Corum, but this is a guy in Donovan Edwards who, like you mentioned, this was supposed to be the bell cow. This was supposed to be the focal point that would help alleviate the pressure off the quarterback position. It hasn't been there. Ralph, we know Michigan loves the line of scrimmage. Well,
Yeah.
they have some guys. They haven't been able to get the push. Here's the big kicker, though. USC did allow 4 10-yard plus carries against LSU. Obviously, that was to John Emery, who's no longer playing this season. But I think Edwards is going to break through a little bit in this game to give Michigan some life, especially since the Wolverines are coming into this game with a little bit different of an attitude. You've already lost at Texas, so this pressure of we're a national title contender, like I didn't even have them in my playoff, and I think people were shocked by that. I just didn't really think that they were going to be that good this year in terms of being one of the top 12 teams. I'm very interested to see how this game turns out. I think Edwards, Ralph, is going to provide some offense, but man, Miller Moss, I think this could be a statement game, another feather in the hat. He's already done it once, threw for 378 earlier this year. I think he could put another notch on the belt for a potential Heisman run. People might say it's crazy, but I mean,
why?
Why not?
I'm really excited to see the matchup between Will Johnson and Zachariah Branch. I think that's gonna be a fun matchup to watch. Will Johnson, probably one of the higher rated defensive backs in the country. Obviously, last year had a terrific year. This year, we're expecting him to have a same year. He's had a good season this so far, and I think it's only going to get better for him. I think people kind of overestimate how good defensive backs can be in great conferences.
Yeah.
You think of like one of my favorite defensive backs to watch play in college was Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, just an absolute ball, flew to the ball, was just really good in one-on-ones, coached by the greatest coach of all time. You have to say it now.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and he's done a terrific job in NFL. I mean, this guy, Will Johnson reminds me a lot of him, of how he plays. He's terrific one-on-one receiver. But Zachariah Branch, like you said, is a dude. Like that's a different kind of guy. They got a good quarterback to throw to him now. I'm excited to see that matchup. If they're going to run man, if they're going to run him all night, we'll see. But yeah.
Obviously, Michigan's 31st in opponents' red zone scoring rate. They are giving up touchdowns 75% of the time when teams get into the red zone. So if USC converts, in the red area, that's obviously a big thing. Another thing about Miller Moss, he has yet to finish with a quarterback rating, if you care about this kind of stuff, that's over 76. Why? It sounds kind of weird because he's gotten big yardage total numbers because he's not getting the touchdowns necessarily. It's kind of like that fantasy quarterback that's racking up numbers and that fantasy running back, but they don't get to score.
It was my quarterback on Thursday night, Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a terrific game, but James Cook had 4 touchdowns. So
Exactly. I don't know. I think that those factors, and you mentioned Zachariah Branch, punt returner. He's lethal. The game of field position. I like USC, and I like
not as lethal as Devontae Ross.
Shout out Devontae Ross. Ralph, I like USC, and I like the points here on the road.
I want to bring a comment
to the Trojans.
A Tennessee fan here, Sam Lord. He plays with that Lincoln Riley system really well. He's impressive. Yeah. Miller Moss he's fitting the perfect system. Lincoln Riley's a quarterback he could trust. I think you go from Caleb Williams to Miller Moss. It's 2 different quarterbacks. Caleb Williams is going to do everything. He can make plays. Miller Moss is going to hit those check downs and get you that first down. He's not flashy. He doesn't want to be. He's just a guy. He looks like he's 35, but he's going to go out there and win a game. So I'm going USC, and I also like the points. I think USC runs away with this game early, though.
I think they could. I absolutely think that they could. All right, let's go to the game that everyone's going to be watching and everyone's going to be paying attention to, Ralph. Hopefully you and I get out of Death Valley and we'll get to watch the end of this, at least halftime and the end of it. I know Sam Lord's excited about this. I know Maxwell's excited about this. Preview and picks the Tennessee Volunteers against the Oklahoma Sooners. Ralph, let's I want to give Will's angle on this real quick because we were talking about this. I don't know if you still feel the same way that you felt on Sunday when we talked about this game, but Will was immediately like, this is a situation where he sees Oklahoma covering this. Now, I don't know if he's changed. I don't know how, I don't know if he has, but that's kind of what he had said in the beginning, that it was just very interesting to see. But I'll tell you this. Here's the big news that was reported tonight. And let me get you this because this is a big boost if you're an Oklahoma fan. Big news for tonight. Madsen to 24/7 Sports says, look like Oklahoma's banged up wide receiver group will be much closer. This was right before the show started to full strength. Nick Anderson, who had 10 touchdown catches for the Sooners last year, is expected to make his debut. And then Andrell Anthony is also going to be probable. So Oklahoma getting back some offensive weapons. Jackson Arnold. But Ralph, I mean, everyone's excited to talk about the Josh Heupel factor of this. Heupel going back to Oklahoma. It's going to be a rowdy atmosphere. Oklahoma getting to host its first ever SEC game. I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Tennessee can, this is the thing, Tennessee can score against lesser competition. And they can, you know,
I got to tell you something real quick.
They can score in general. But this would be interesting. Go ahead.
We have a new running for assistant over here. I'm like, right. Sam Lord in here because this man just sent me a bunch of information on this game. I'm impressed.
Let's go.
So the first is a tweet from it's a Tennessee page. Oklahoma is 108th in total offense, 109th in third down conversions, 112th in passing yards per game. Tennessee is number 1 points per game, number 2 in total offense, number 3 in total defense, and top 5 in nearly every offensive statistic. Someone said, let's see how this goes. Then he sends me this Oklahoma 24 play calling. And it has all their plays listed as percentages. So there's 48 on pass attempts, 44% on designated runs, 8% on sacks and scrambles. When it comes to offensive plays, it's majority of 11 personnel, RPO plays, and versus 6-man box, heavy box, stuff like that. Very high on slot target play action plays. A lot of running back, a lot of designated running back runs and zone blocking runs, gap blocks, inside runs. Not really heavy on the outside runs. It's got the EPA play on there, Bryce.
There we go.
It's a pretty. Whoever did this is a very impressive stat line. I mean, it's got everything. It's very simple to read too. So Sam, shout out to Sam Lord. Great stat. For me, I was trying to find something like this before he sent that to me. But yeah, look, you brought it up. This is Heupel's game. He has circled on there. You can say whatever you want, Tennessee fans, about Alabama, about Georgia, whoever. This one's circled on Heupel's calendar. He wants this. He wants to beat them bad. And you just went up there and I'll tell you this. A little bit of that Kent State game was Heupel showing Oklahoma what's coming.
Yeah.
And it's more like we're not afraid to put points on the board. We'll beat you bad. And
I think kick in the first quarter. How about that?
If Heupel goes out there in his first kick, Venables better tell him to be ready for an onside kick because he might do it first kickoff. And you know what? I would not do anything but applaud Josh Heupel for doing it. I'm very excited for this matchup because this is Nico's first real road attempt. I'm not going to say his last name. I'm not going to butcher it because he's too good. And Nico's played against Chattanooga, NC State.
Iama Liava. Nico Iama Liava.
NC State and now Kent State. 3 really poor defenses, to be honest with you. And he has done exactly what you had to do in those games. And I said this about Michigan last year. When they won those games bad against the crappy teams, they did what they had to do, though. You beat them bad. Nico's doing this year with Tennessee. He's putting up big points. He's looking efficient out there. He's making good reads. Their offense looks on point. Squirrel White, probably one of the best names in college football. He's fun. He's exciting to watch. He's a playmaker on the ball. And defensively, Tennessee's they're gross. I mean, they haven't a lot of touchdowns since Vanderbilt last year. That's insane. I don't care what you say. You played Iowa last year in the bowl game. You played Chattanooga, NC State, and Kent State have yet allowed a touchdown. That's some pretty good defense. And no matter, I don't care who you're playing, that's 4 games without allowing a touchdown. It's pretty impressive. So if I'm Tennessee, you put this game in Nico's hands. You let him go out there and ball out, show how good he's going to be. Let the world know that this kid is a Heisman contender.
Through the early course of the season, everyone, including ourselves, have drawn on to what we think teams are. You know what I mean? Like, greatest example was obviously week 0 in Florida State. We've drawn on these conclusions that we think Tennessee's this, Oklahoma's that. But, Ralph, I'm struggling to just not go with what we've seen. And that's why this line is very interesting to me. I feel like this is where people are kind of, you could talk about this maybe being a sucker bet. Like people are being suckered into taking Oklahoma +7. And I don't see it. Like I understand it's at home. But what's going to have to happen in this game, and I'll tell you, I'm taking Tennessee -7 in this. Everything that you just talked about, okay, all the stats that you just laid out there, everything that we know about this, the nation's highest scoring offense that's averaging 63.7 points a game. Everything would have to flip on its head for Oklahoma to win this game from what we know about them right now. Now, I'm not saying that cannot happen. We've seen crazier things happen in college football. But in my opinion, Tennessee has one of the better defenses in the SEC, which probably means they have one of the better defenses in the country.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's defense is good. I just worry about Oklahoma's ability to keep up with what Tennessee's going to do offensively. Because I will tell you this, I think how this game could go is the momentum's going to be rocking, the juices are going to be flowing. I think Oklahoma's defense is going to make some plays early on. Nico's going to have to settle into the game, playing on the road in a big-time environment. But I just don't know if Oklahoma's offense can take advantage. If they do, then, Ralph, we're talking about a true back-and-forth battle. If not, like what we talked about, to me, everything is going to have to flip that we know about these teams. Not saying it can't happen, but I just feel like this could be potentially, and we can clip it or whatever if you're an Oklahoma fan, this is kind of easy money, it feels like, here on the table for Tennessee. Because going off, like, what I'm trying to say is if you go off just of what we've seen, Tennessee should win this game comfortably. Yeah. I've actually talked with 24/7 Sports national college football writer about this today. We and I were texting back and forth about it. Brad Crawford. And he had a prediction. He said 35-24 Tennessee wins this one. And, okay, like I see that. Another one, Chris Hummer said, or no, he had 41-27. Chris Hummer had 35-24. I could definitely see that happening. It just feels like there's some easy money here. But the biggest question mark is Oklahoma's offense. Can they keep up with it? I don't think they can. That's why I'm taking Tennessee -7. I don't think Oklahoma's a bad football team.
No.
I just think Tennessee is really, really good offensively. They might struggle early just in terms of the atmosphere, but based off what we've seen, I don't know how you could take Oklahoma to win this game. I'm going to say it for the fourth time. If you're picking Oklahoma to win this football game, Ralph, then you're expecting everything that we know up to this point of the season to flip on its head. It could happen. College football is crazy. But the logical prediction here for me is Tennessee.
Jackson Arnold comes in as the leading rusher for Oklahoma.
That's a problem.
It's a problem because he's only got like 30 more yards with 5 more carries technically, and most of those are scrambles. I'll be honest with you. Receiving wise, Deion Burks is the number 1 receiver. That's hands down. We all knew that was going to be this year. 22 catches, 170 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Bauer Sharp is the number 2 as a tight end. He has 10 catches. So now you know who Oklahoma's going to look for to throw the ball to. Tennessee's got corners who can cover him. They got one of the best pass rushers in college football with James Pierce.
Yeah.
I like this defense a lot. Sam put a comment in the minute ago. Starting left tackle Lance Hurd is questionable and is leaning towards being out. Sam, you can update me in here. Would that mean Larry Johnson III would be playing the transfer sophomore, or would they put Jackson Lampley out there, the redshirt senior? I just kind of figure out who they would put. Either way, Oklahoma looks like it's just kind of a one-sided offense. It's Jackson Arnold controls everything. He throws to Deion Burks. And they run it with Javonte Barnes a lot. Taylor Tatum gets a few carries, but it's very, very low on those numbers. Bryce, I don't know. Because I'm sitting here and I'm saying Squirrel White's one of the best receivers in college football. I forgot Brew McCoy's still there.
Yeah, he's on his 27th year of college football.
Brew McCoy is a dog. And Tennessee, like you said it a minute ago, it's leaning toward easy money. I don't want to say it because it's setting it up for such an easy flip. I'm going to take is that fellow UPS man, Ralph? No, yes. I'm going to take Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Oklahoma cover this game, though. I just think I think it's a backdoor cover. They kick a field goal. It's like 34-27, and they kick a field goal, make it 34-30. Try to go score again, and they kick it onside kick and don't get it. Something like that. It's a backdoor cover, and it makes me irritated. So.
I could see that. It's not like there's a world where that can't happen.
Also, in my other head, in my other side of my brain here, I'm thinking.
In your other head, Ralph has. Oh, never mind. Keep going. Never mind. Just keep going. Keep talking.
In my other side of my brain, I have Tennessee going in there and dropping 50 on them, and just beating them senseless. And that's just in the other clip in chat. Yes, agreed. I just have it's just sitting on the other side of my brain, Bryce. Is that Tennessee's just like, we'll just go there and beat them senseless, and it's gonna be a rout. Just one of those. And I don't think that's gonna happen, but in the back of my head, I'm like, that might happen.
I'm with you there. I mean,
it wouldn't shock me to happen.
If Tennessee goes in there and wins like 52-20.
Wouldn't shock me.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Like they're
I'll tell you what, Tennessee's gonna be higher in the rankings next week.
I'm here for a Tennessee Ole Miss SEC title game. By the way, I just want to throw that out there.
I'm here for anyone, but Georgia this year. No offense to Georgia. I respect Kirby Smart and what he does. I'm just tired of seeing Georgia there.
Tennessee Ole Miss will be a fun SEC title game.
Bring out the mustard.
Bring out the mustard. All right. That's our preview and picks. We're getting it right there. And Ralph, before we get to our best bets, let's go first? Games to watch.
Games to watch. Okay.
Yeah.
I got one. Florida A&M at Troy. Can Troy get its first win this year?
Okay. Well, there you go. There's Ralph's game to watch. No, I got a couple. I'll throw this one out here on Friday night. I don't know how Ralph. We're not going to be able to watch this. Ralph's going to come to a high school game with me on Friday night. Illinois, Nebraska. 7:00 kickoff.
Dude, that's such a fun matchup because they're both ranked for the first time.
Top 25 matchup on Friday night. Here's another one. NC State, Clemson. This feels like NC State's last shot. In terms of being able to do some things. NC State, Ralph. NC State doesn't have a conference loss though, right?
They haven't played a conference team yet. This will be the first conference game.
So I'm saying it's their last shot. It's their last shot as an at-large. If you want to be, if you can't win the ACC, this is also a chance for Clemson to try to continue to build back up to what I think a lot of people think they are, as a really dominant defensive team. That just it would be very interesting. TD Jake says this: the Unk Bowl with 2 7-year quarterbacks in Utah, Okie State.
Well, Bryce thought that Cam Rising had tetanus off a fake tweet. So
no, that was Will.
That was Will who said it.
Yeah, I didn't. That was Will. Will said he's out.
No, he's not. It was not. It was a lie that he had tetanus.
Oh God.
I got one, and you might as well say it because you're going to talk about tomorrow night. Georgia Tech is playing Louisville.
That's an interesting
big bounce back game for Georgia Tech. They have to win that one. I feel like.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll preview for tomorrow night's show. We'll be live at 7:00 or 7:30. Hadn't decided on the time yet. If you want to be serious, and if you're serious about competing for Charlotte this year, if you're Georgia Tech, you got to go win this football game. If you're really taking the next step, you got to go win that football game. Another one, Ralph, that I'm looking at is we mentioned those two. I'm going down to another intriguing. I think this could be sneaky because if they're real, this is where we learn about a team if they're real or not. Miami at South Florida. South Florida is not a bad football team. They've got really good athletes. They took Alabama down to the wire. I know it's 41-16, but that you need to go back and watch that game. That was a really close game for a long time. If Miami's for real, Ralph, if Miami's legitimately put the demons behind them, they'll dominate South Florida. If not, we'll kind of see. We'll see what happens there. I got one more for you here. I'll throw another one to you.
Since it's an SMU show, SMU is taking on TCU at home.
The Battle of Dallas. The Battle of Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's on the CW network. So if you want to watch ACC football, you can watch it on there.
Here's one for you, Ralph. That just just noted giant killer, the Bowling Green Falcons. They are taking on Texas A&M this week. Texas A&M fresh back into the top 25. And we'll also throw this out here, man. This is going to be a brutal watch for a lot of people. Florida, Mississippi State. I mean, We
Well, I'll
talked about
tell
it
you
on
one
Monday
thing.
Night Show.
It will not be a brutal watch. If you're a Florida fan, if you lose, you can just celebrate because your coach is gone.
That's true. That's true. Josh says, was the checks from SMU still going through? They are.
We also look, Bryce, got an underrated matchup though. 5-star stadium. It's the Citadel travels to Mercer.
Number 14 ranked Mercer Bears. Fresh off the number 1 defense, by the way, in the FCS, the Mercer Bears. Chattanooga's got some NFL guys, by the way. Florida MSU peak football. Yeah, it's going to be great. The Dart Bowl. The Toilet Bowl, Dev says.
Yeah, I've been saying that one for years.
I don't like the city of Dallas.
Still
all right. Still mid. All right, Ralph, that's kind of our games to watch. Let's get into the best bets portion. Let's throw up Will's first. Will getting his best bet, trying to get on the score sheet. I know Dr. Bob said earlier.
This is a sicko committee
now,
best
Ralph,
bet.
You texted me privately from the group. I'd like for you to say what you said here. Will plays risky with his bets, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get what he's doing here. I do. This bet just seems so far-fetched to me. You're talking about a Memphis team. What in the hell is that bet? I agree. I mean, you're talking about a Memphis team that just went to Florida State and beat them like they just, like a redheaded stepchild. I mean,
Will's banking on Navy just holding the football.
Yeah, and look, the spread is 11. I mean, I'm not saying Memphis can't hold the ball for 60 or 55 minutes. They could possibly. It'd be a boring game. Memphis can score quick if they want to, though. I watched them do it against Troy. They did it very well against Troy. They beat Troy 38-17. They might win this game 48-0, and Will win the bet. And that's what's going to happen. If Will wins the bet because he wins it's 48 or 49-0, I will let him celebrate. He can
like
talk
45-3. What if Memphis wins this 45-3?
It could be anything. It could be
48-2.
That would be perfect.
That would be
no, I'm saying it's going to be 48-0. Navy goes on field, kick the field goal, and Will loses the bet. That might be the.
Will may never come back on the show. Redheaded stepchild is crazy, man. Not the redheaded stepchild. All right, so Memphis Navy. Will's taking that one at the under 50 mark. Once again, 0-4 through the first 4 weeks. We're going. Remember, we did week 0. Sam Lord says banking on the triple option, just hold the ball is crazy, but it's also the most Will bet ever. Dude, he's trying to get
I agree. Look, Sam, I completely agree. If there's anything Will's going to do is going to bet on a triple option team somehow holding the ball for as long as they can so the other team cannot score. That makes so much sense for Will Manis to bet.
All right. Raph, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I guess I'll go first. I'm trying to find my game on here.
You're the winner from last week, so yeah, you go first.
I don't like being the winner for this week. I mean, that's I should not have won. I went and watched that game again, by the way. It was terrible. At Kansas +2 at West Virginia. And I hate that I'm doing this. I truly hate that.
Jalen Daniels back. I don't know what I was trying to say there.
I don't know. I have to wait for you to finish.
You're banking on Jalen Daniels playing better than he's played all season because he's not been good.
I'm just banking on West Virginia screwing up somehow. They lost to Pitt last week. They shouldn't have even lost to Pitt. Pitt really is not good.
Yeah, I can't stand that. This is a non-Pitt podcast.
And I'm just saying that because I'm not going to sit here and say Pitt's horrible. But Pitt's not better than West Virginia. West Virginia should have won that game easily. Neil Brown needed that win and did not get it. Now he absolutely needs this one. And I'm sitting here and saying I don't think they get it. I think Kansas is still a good team. They're still really well coached. Lance Leipold, I think.
Yeah, really good coach.
He's a great head coach. I think they're doing terrific this year. UNLV is a good team. They're a very good team, and they look really. And I'm talking about a team holding the ball. I think UNLV had the ball for the whole entire fourth quarter of that game last week. If you watched it, feed Devin Neal. I agree, Gavin. I agree. Don't let Jalen Daniels hold the ball. Devin Neal is nice.
Jalen Daniels, and that was when I had him as a dark horse playoff.
I'm not putting that comment up there. I'm not putting that comment up there. I refuse to put it.
Yeah, no, do it. Put it up there.
Okay.
Pitt would.
Gavin Hart says Pitt would wreck Tech. Gavin Hart said that, not a friend of the show.
No. Pitt couldn't even beat Tech at home, fresh off Jeff Collins getting fired. So I don't think. Sam says Lance Leipold will find a way to win some games. And this feels like one he'll find a way, especially when they need to win. Enemy of the show, potentially.
Look, I'll say this:
says, "I'll wreck your Pitt."
Pitt allowed up 20, or Pitt gave up 24 points to Kent State. Kent State is statistically the worst team in college football. Honestly, Kent State gave up 60 in the first half against Tennessee. 60. That's awful.
Ralph, I think I'm sticking with mine.
Gavin asks, "Where's Will?" You know where Will's at.
Will's playing footy.
He's playing soccer with
Lionel
Messi. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going with. Used to not be a friend of the show, but I hope they do become friends with the show. I'm going with an ACC Big Ten game. Boston College minus 6.5 against Michigan State. Thomas Castellanos has looked really, really good. Michigan State, I like the direction they're going. Like what's their head coach's name? Jonathan
Smith.
Probably the greatest, probably the greatest college football coach of all time because he was able to get DJU to look respectable.
Someone said that, and I completely agree.
It's
and Billy B. Bob.
Yes, Bob. Bill O'Brien's looked really good with his team. They look like they understand what they're doing. They're comfortable. Michigan State's got some injuries, so I'm rolling Boston College minus 6.5 here, and I don't know. I like the Eagles. I don't think. I look. Aiden Childs is going to be a good football player. I think for Michigan State. Transferred over with Jonathan Smith. Michigan State's just not there yet. I'm going with the Eagles and Bill O'Brien. It'll be very, very interesting. This feels like easy money. Bill O'Brien's play calling has been really good this year, and that Mizzou game is probably just skill difference. I think so. And I should have put it as my best bet last week, but I was in on Boston College at plus 16.5 last week in that hit.
He was.
And I think Will was on Mizzou minus 16.5, so that hurt him.
Yeah, I was in the over, and I think it didn't hit, by the way.
Josh says, boy, we're wrong about BC, but it's okay to be wrong because we're not all experts here.
The over
Would you
51.
take MSU if they had Peyton Thorne? No, they'd have to have Kenneth Walker too.
They would have to have everyone. They'd have to have Kirk Cousins coaching.
And Le'Veon Bell. And probably Draymond Green while you're at
Draymond Green. Aiden Thomas, player, is either beautiful pass or an absolute dumb decision. Hey,
yeah, it's all
over.
You
want to know how we are? Bet the over in the first game. We scored 16 points. Bet the over.
All right, Ralph. Did you have any other ones you liked? I'll say here's a close second for me. You can take mine off. What a comment, Josh. I'm not throwing that one up there because it'll end up on the message boards immediately.
Here we go again.
The one that I wanted to take, Ralph, and I know they're your college football dynasty team. I'm not a believer in this Texas Tech team. Arizona State's coming off a big win against Texas State on the road. I think Arizona State's the better football team than Texas Tech, and they are dogs by 3. I like Arizona State plus 3 at Texas Tech. I know you're not a big one with that, but I liked that one. That was one that I liked.
You ain't gonna come to Lubbock and win like that. I'm just kidding. Look, my thing with Texas State, it's just I like their quarterback. I like who they got there. They got some really good receivers who go underrated because they played really bad this year. But look, I had Arizona State against Mississippi State. I'm not gonna sit there and say I didn't choose them. They're a fun team to watch. Yeah. I got another one, Bryce, and since we're gonna be there, I'm taking LSU minus 24 at home against UCLA. I think LSU beats them senseless. We're going to be leaving the third quarter because Addie's going to be crying because she's watching a horrible performance. I agree.
She might be. Dev does bring this one up. What about Kansas State minus 7 at BYU? I like that one as well. I'm not Ralph. I'll be honest with you. This was at 6.5 earlier on Bet Online in the week. It's gone up to 7. I'm not afraid to lay the touchdown here. I do like Kansas State. BYU's biggest win is against an SMU team that's not as good that we thought they were going to be. I don't know if they can keep pace with Kansas State, so I do like Kansas State minus 7 in that one. You want a sicko bet, Ralph? This is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about putting a unit or two on this one. The under at 60.5. Southern Miss at Jacksonville State. It makes me nervous because it is a Rich Rod team, okay? And they like to put up points. They're not as good. I might take the under 60 in that one. I had one.
I saw
more,
what Gavin said. I completely agree with Gavin's, but I think it's an absolute bloodbath in that performance, Gavin. This one. Ole Miss team total. I think Ole Miss beats the absolute crap out of Georgia Southern. And honestly, I hope they do. There's some Georgia Southern fans I've talked to who think they can cover this game. I don't know what team you've watched.
3.5. How do you feel about Tulsa plus 3.5 at Louisiana Tech? Couldn't tell you anything about them.
I watched Tulsa
Louisiana
last
Tech
week.
looked good against NC State last week, although I don't think NC State's obviously not as good as we thought they were going to be. Ralph, we could just skip out on the LSU game and go watch the Fighting Dr. Bobs and the Fighting John Summeralls take on the Raging Cajuns.
If I step on a field, if I step into a stadium and John Summerall's there not wearing a Troy polo, it's gonna be a bad thing. Okay. Look, if we get any questions about Tulsa,
what's the line? What is my father-in-law played at Tulsa. He was part of the Golden Hurricane.
Fun fact. Cool.
A lot of Golden Hurricanes in Tulsa, Oklahoma, by the way. Shout out Montega. He lives in Tulsa. What's the line on this game? I want a little FCS now.
If I know, I'll find it. It's probably not one. They don't really do FCS schools very often. Where's that? I don't know if I can find that on here, Bryce. I don't think they do FCS schools in here.
No,
we can do Canadian football.
For as low as $18 though.
Well, Mercer money line minus 10,000 per Gavin Hart.
I'm putting $5,000 on that.
You still lose money.
Yeah.
You put $10,000 on that, make a dollar. So
make $1.
Make $100. Sorry.
I think that's all we got for tonight. Week 4, college football. Going to be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is the Crowded Booth. Ralph Leary and my name is Bryce Koon. Will Maness playing footy with Lionel Messi up in Atlanta tonight. No, look, I'm not doing that again. Penn State minus 49 is a lock. # fade Kent State. Well, this is not a Kent State podcast. Get away from me.
Let me tell you something. I had a friend tell me that the other day. He said, I'm taking Penn State minus 49 because it's Kent State.
Brutal. Kent State's awful. Betting on those. Ralph, your team's back in action this week, by the way. Did you want to throw that out there before we get out of here?
My team?
Oh, Rutgers?
Oh yeah, Rutgers is back this week. I don't even know who they're playing this week, honestly. That is usually a Friday night laying in my bed bet. Oh gosh, what's going on here?
I'm telling you, dude. People try to FaceTime me and they act like I don't have anything.
Rutgers is at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is minus 3.5.
Josh, we haven't gotten off the stream yet, pal.
If you want a team that covers the spread, UNLV and Rutgers consistently do it.
That's it. All right, Josh says it. We'll see y'all tomorrow here on the Crowded Booth. Tomorrow night, 7. We'll shoot for 7:30. We may go 7 o'clock. We will obviously be talking Georgia Tech and Louisville. It'll be a fun one. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the Behind Enemy Lines podcast that I did today with Locked On Louisville. It was a good one. We'll catch you next time. Ralph Leary, my name is Bryce Koon. Will playing footy with Messi up in Atlanta. We'll see you next time. Crowded Booth. Thanks so much.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.